Hello, my name is Sean Dyer. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm representing a Civil War surgeon for the Union Army. I actually have no formal medical background. I'm actually an educator. I teach high school social studies and government. Before we get started, I'd like to thank a few people. I'd like to reach out and thank my beautiful wife, my loving family, for being very supportive of me and all that I do. I'd also like to thank my students for uh, always keeping me on point and making sure that I always have fresh material for them. Thank you to my colleagues, my education colleagues, especially those who are living historians, Civil War reenactors, and medical reenactors especially. I'd also like to thank the Civil War Digital Digest, the 11th Ohio Volunteer Cavalry, and the National Museum of Civil War Medicine, because all three of those organizations and institutions helped me get online and do this kind of thing, and they've helped me learn a lot. So if you are starting out in reenacting, or if you're just a Civil War living historian or a Civil War historian, or just a student or whatever your interest may be, I would strongly suggest that you check out those channels. They're linked below in this video. So today I am going to discuss hygiene as it applies to the Civil War soldier, especially Union Civil War soldier. Now, during this unique time and situation that we're in, we're all relearning a little bit about hygiene and how important it is to stop the spread of sickness and disease. Now, in a Civil War camp, a military camp, where you have a ton of people all in one space, it's very easy to spread sickness. 2/3 of the deaths in the American Civil War were from sickness and disease. And that's terribly unfortunate when you can look back and you can reference with 20/20 vision, so to speak. Man, if we just change this or change that, then there'd be all these lives that would have been saved. And our future generations are going to say the same thing about us. When you think about radioactive medicines and treatments for various things, we're basically going to be looked back like, man, I can't believe they were poisoning their body to cure this. So if you're a student and you're the future, I look forward to the wonderful advancements that you are going to make. So getting back on track with Civil War hygiene. Now, the U.S. Medical Department during the American Civil War did do some things to regulate hygiene. Once a week, soldiers were expected to bathe, either in a bucket, in a creek, in a lake, whatever that they could do to wash themselves. Now, this is going to help out significantly. They're also going to be expected to do things with their hair. Now, your sergeant, your lieutenant, your officer, whatever, is not going to go around with a ruler to measure your length of hair like a drill sergeant or contemporary soldier would do to make sure that you're within regulations. But instead, they're going to care more about looks. If you look unkept, if you have lice crawling all over your hair, etc., then the expectation is going to be that you fix that problem by cutting your hair short or maybe eliminating your beard or whatever. But you are allowed to have facial hair during the American Civil War, and there's tons of pictures of soldiers in their glorious beards. I'm sporting one myself. And that ties in with what you would carry to keep yourself clean and in good military shape. Now, I have two kits with me today. Some items will cross over into the enlisted man, which is the lower level of the military, and to the officers, or the higher level of the military. There's going to be two distinct differences, though. As an enlisted man, you were issued certain things. As an officer, you had to purchase everything. So I'll make those distinctions as they come up. First thing, let's talk about bathing. Now, if you're a soldier, it doesn't matter if you're a enlisted or an officer, you're going to bathe with what's called lye soap. Now, this is lye soap. Lye is made from the ash, and you're going to mix that in with the animal fats and it's going to create soap. So it's really greasy to the touch. It's actually really good for your skin though, because it's a natural conditioner for your skin, doesn't leave it dried out. Now, if you're interested in learning how to make lye soap, I'm sure there's tons of videos online. I would strongly suggest, though, that you go to a local historic site and watch it getting made. Various historic villages and organizations make this on a yearly basis. I used to work at a place called Slate Run Living Historical Farm here in Central Ohio, and the ladies there made lye soap. So check out your local village, find out when they're doing it, go check them out. It's really neat, and it's completely different seeing it and being there firsthand being made than just watching a video or reading about it being made. So this is a lye soap. As an officer, you know, a chunk like this, very practical, right? It's about just a little bit smaller than a standard bar of soap. As a soldier, though, you would be issued by the ounce. They're obviously not going to weigh it for every single soldier. They're going to cut it up into a chunk, and it basically ends up being about an inch by inch block for your ration. And you would be expected to use that ration to wash and bathe yourself and wash your clothes if need be. Now, there were sutlers that would follow different regiments around. Sutlers were government licensed vendors that would follow regiments, and they would sell them goods such as soap, matches, canned peaches, niceties that just weren't issued out, especially in larger quantities. So you have your soap. Now, if you're an enlisted man, chances are you might have some type of tin container like this. This is my tin container that I keep my soap in. Or you could just wrap it up in your towel and store it away. Dry it out. After it's dry, you're good to go. If you wash it and you're ordered to move, well, military doesn't wait. You're expected to wait. So you would just throw your soap in there, and next time you have a chance, you would try to set it out and dry so you could use it again. This is a huck towel, just a standard huck towel. Huck towels really haven't changed much. Now, the manufacturing processes have changed for sure, but if you were to go to your big box store and you were to get a bar or huck towel, you're good to go, in case you're wanting to get in the living history aspect of it. Next thing, so we have soap. Let's talk about hair, because that was the next thing I talked about in regards to hygiene. Now, there are various ways for you to take care of your hair, right? Traditionally, a brush would work. You could also get a comb. Now, this is just a plastic comb, right? Black plastic comb. And it's in a reproduction Goodyear case. I have no idea what vendor sold this because I got it secondhand. But gutta percha, which is a hard rubber. Goodyear used to sell these combs, mass produce them, and soldiers had ready access to them. I suggest that if you're interested in learning about gutta percha and hard rubber, check out Civil War Digital Digest. They did a couple videos in their series about it. It's really informative. It's really well done, and they have professional on it explaining it in good detail. Horn was also a common material. Horn's been around as long as people have been able to collect horn and make things out of it. So this is a horn folding comb. This is a reproduction as well. This is not original. So there you go for the hair. Like I said, you're going to keep it close. You might have a small brush. When I get to my officer's kit, I'll show you some examples of that. Next thing is a toothbrush. So we know the soldiers en masse brush their teeth. Now, oral hygiene wasn't exactly as good as it is today, but oral hygiene was still important. And they find bone-handled boar brush toothbrushes in refuse or trash piles. If you're a metal detector and you're searching around trash pile, a good chance is you're going to find toothbrushes. This is a new old stock toothbrush. It is real bone, and it is boar bristle head here. They used to make these for quite a while. This probably came out in the early 1900s, but the style, the material was still the same. So there you go, a primary source. Next, so you're brushing your teeth, you're brushing your hair, you're combing your hair, you're looking good. Well, how are you going to know that you're looking good? Soldiers would regularly carry with them a mirror. Now this here is purchased, I believe, from the Sutler Fort Scott. It's a 10 reproduction mirror. It's got a little loop on it, so you can tie it to a tree or on your tent and dangle it so you can look at yourself. It's a nice little folding 10 pocket mirror. They also had these wooden pocket mirrors. Very simple. The little wooden flap here is just to protect the glass. It has a little eyelet on there so you can hang it up and shave or brush your hair or whatever. Now, I mentioned shaving. So shaving was a regular ritual for men, just like it is today. Even I shave my neckline. Personally keep the beard, especially in the winter, but in the summer I might take it off a little bit because it gets hot. But having a beard also protects your skin from the sun. This is a shaving brush. Now, traditionally shaving brushes were made out of wood. They could be made out of more exotic materials like horn or bone or ivory, but wood was pretty much the run of the mill. The hair was usually boar hair, just like the toothbrush, just like a regular hairbrush. It's going to be cheap, it's going to be affordable, it's going to be effective. It's not going to be as comfortable as, say, a Badger hairbrush. They did use Badger hairbrushes, and I'll show you an original example of that here when I get to the officer section. But if you're playing as an enlisted soldier, if you're wanting to represent an enlisted soldier, just get a wooden handled shaving brush with boar hair, pretty cheap, you're good to go. Williams still makes a boar hairbrush. It's not going to be accurate because it's going to be made of plastic, but I do urge you, if you are going to use an original brush, just remember about what original materials were in them. You're going to find lead-based paint most likely on it, and who knows what else inside the hair. It's just like using an original 10 item that may have lead solder instead of lead-free solder. There are producers out there that will make you and reproduce and just turn it on a lathe a wooden handle, and you can buy the knot and you can put it in yourself. Okay, so there are options in case you want a new brush but you want a wooden one. Now you got your brush. You could use your soap to lather it up. Traditionally you use a shaving soap, which has a few different chemicals in it to make a good lather, but soap is soap. You know, if you're just out in the field, it'll work whatever you got. So this is a straight razor. This is not a safety razor. It's not a Gillette Mach 3 or whatever. This is a straight razor. I'll do another video that talks about razors and how you can identify ones that are appropriate for the period. This one here is made by Wade and Butcher. I do shave with it. It works really well, especially if you got a thick beard. Try it out. It's a lot of fun. In fact, it's a whole hobby in by itself. So you would carry a straight razor on you, and this was a prized position for all men because most men tend to shave, even if it's just to clean up their beard or whatever. So a straight razor should be part of your kit, most likely. Now, to carry it, you could tie a string around it to put it in your bag, and you're probably pretty safe. But if you were to purchase a straight razor off the box, even today, you can buy straight razors new. They usually come in a cardboard box. This is an original cardboard box from Wade and Butcher, same manufacturer that made this, and it's called a coffin case. So if you go on eBay, a lot of sellers pretty much just give them away. If you buy a razor, if you ask them and they have coffin case, chances are they'll just throw it in for you. So hot tip there. Not really terribly valuable. But this is a coffin case, so you could put it in there. The problem is it's made out of cardboard, and it may have a light leather coating on it, but if it gets wet, it's going to get damaged. So keep that in mind. I would suggest perhaps just a leather slip case to stick it in, or like I said, just wrap it up with some string and put it in your bag. Since I mentioned a bag, if you're an enlisted soldier, space is going to be pretty limited, but you're still going to want to keep things separate and dry, etc. So this is called a poke sack. This is just a plain cotton, light or heavy muslin poke sack, and it works pretty well for all the things that I've showed you thus far. Just throw them in there, you're good to go. But I am an officer, and rank has privilege. So because I'm an officer, I had the opportunity to have space on a baggage wagon. Now, I'm from Ohio. In fact, my hometown's Lancaster, and there's this little well-known semi-general that came from Lancaster, Ohio, named William Tecumseh Sherman, who took a little vacation trip down south to Georgia. Sorry, Georgia. But when he went down, the baggage wagons tended to be pretty far away from the advancing army. So if you're an officer and you're hoping to keep your personals pretty close to you every night, depending on where you are on the totem pole, high rank, low rank, you might not get your box of goodies to keep yourself comfortable. So keep that in mind if you're building an officer's impression. But I'm going to show you some luxuries that an officer may have, especially as a rank of major. I'm a full surgeon. So let's start off again with soap. I already mentioned it, but as an officer, I would have to purchase, but I'd have soap for sure. I already showed you or flashed this case. This is a tin case for me to keep my soap in. Could be wood, but tin doesn't swell up and get damaged as easy. We talked about hair. This is a brush. It has an ivory top on it, and it's monogrammed very nicely. This is an original. This is an artifact. So I could carry this. I could brush my hair, what little I have on top, and I'm good to go. Now this next case is a toiletry kit. Now this is an original toiletry kit. It is dated 1867, so it's 2 years after the American Civil War. But these are still very common even during the American Civil War. It's not like everything just switched over. Chances are this case and one very much like it would have been used in the American Civil War. So this one here is made by Lund Maker Cornhill, London. Now, if you get something from London, if you get something from Paris, it's going to be pretty nice, right? You're going to spend some extra money on it, which definitely shows the level of class that you are in. A regular lieutenant may not have something like this from London. There are American makers that make these too. All right, so let's start showing you what I have here. Everything's divided up in nice little compartments. This was, and partially still is, a bone campaign shaving brush. When I purchased this, I made the mistake and I actually tried to use it, and it was really old, it's really dry. I didn't know that about antique bone items. You live and learn. And unfortunately, when I used it, the bone that had the brush on it just completely fell apart. So I have another example to show you what it was like in its complete form. So this is a campaign shaving brush, and this one's made out of ivory. Inside of it is the shaving brush, and this is the one I told you that is made out of badger, and it attaches to the handle. You're good to go. Also has in it straight razors. Now these straight razors are made in London, and they have ivory scales on it. Again, showing the wealth of the individual owning it. It also has a small hairbrush. Now you might be like, that's a toothbrush. No, it's not. See, as a toothbrush, it's a lot smaller. If you try to stick this in your mouth, it's going to be pretty uncomfortable. So this is a portable hairbrush, and it's also stamped by the maker, Lund. Also came with strops. If you're going to carry a straight razor, you need some way to keep them up so that the edge maintains. So I have 2 Criterion strops. One of the strops has a wooden handle, and it has 2 different sides of leather on it. One's very supple leather, very soft, and the other one's a little bit rougher. This one here has 2 sides as well. It's a very smooth leather, and it has a material that's almost like fine sandpaper, but it's not sandpaper. As you can see, the black comes off of it. It's pretty cool, in my opinion. And it also came with another ivory-handled straight razor, not by the same maker, but it is monogrammed, which shows, again, wealth and class. All right. So now as an officer, you have a few different options for carrying your straight razor. You might have something like this. You might have a coffin case. You might have a leather case, slip case to put it in. You may also have the space to have something like this. This is a straight razor box, and it has a leather strap on top of it. It has a nice little handle. May carry something like that. And then there's this. This is a oak presentation or gift case, and it carried 2 straight razors in it, just like like so. Okay, and you could close that up, and it would keep it safe. Now you have your straight razors. We talked about the strops. You're going to need to keep it sharp, because after a few uses, even on stropping, it's going to dull eventually. So this is a razor hone. If you get into straight razor shaving, you definitely need to have some type of fine razor hone. Practice on it. That way you can keep up your razor. This is a green natural razor hone. Now it weighs about 1 pound or more. So this weighs a lot. As an infantry soldier, you're not going to carry that on your back. One soldier might have something that's really small, like a fragment of a hone that's a little more portable. As a surgeon now, these hones, or razor hones, were actually issued in medical boxes. That way they could keep their tools and instruments nice and sharp. So if you're a surgeon, or maybe you're in the ambulance corps, or you have a steward, you have access to these things. You might be able to go to your box and sharpen your own personal straight razor. So there you go. And I'll do another video about straight razors and shaving and things, because that's one of my other hobbies that I like a lot. So there you go. We talked about hygiene items that you would carry on your person. That way you can stay in good health and you can do your soldierly duty looking good. If you have any questions, please put a comment in there or send me an email. I hope you learned something. I hope maybe you found something that was interesting that you could dive a little deeper in. Feel free, like I said, to give me a comment. I hope that you like my video, subscribe to my channel. I'll keep them coming. If you have anything that you want to see or you're interested in, let me know. I'll see if I can do it. Other than that, I hope everyone has a wonderful, beautiful day. Stay close to your loved ones. Give them a good hug, kiss. Be nice to everybody. All right, take care. I appreciate you watching my video.